State representative is calling on the head of the Republican Party in York County to resign for targeting him in an email. That email sent to party activists refers to Saco Democrat Representative Justin Chenette as Little Justine. Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan.
And I'm Cindy Williams. The email was written by the York County Republican Committee Chairman Jim Booth. Booth has since called Chenette, who is openly gay, to apologize. But Chenette and lawmakers from both sides say too much damage has been done. NewsCenter's Vivian Lee is following the story tonight. Vivian?
Well, Cindy, Chenette says the email was extremely devastating on a personal and spiritual level. He says targeting him for his sexual orientation is part of an extreme element in the Republican Party here in Maine that wants to roll back anti-discrimination and equality protections for the LGBT community. Representative Chenette says he was surprised when he received a phone call from Jim Booth. Booth is seen here during a ballot recount last month, apologized for an email Chenette says denigrated the openly gay lawmaker in an effort to recruit a candidate to run against him.
He felt that he wrote the email in a flurry of frustration for trying to find a candidate. Of course, I also said, we all get frustrated, but, you can't cross a line.
Earlier this week, someone sent Chenette a screen grab of the email. It states, "Currently our friend Little Justine Chenette is running unopposed." The email reads, "We need someone to step forward by July 25th, 5 p.m. There's a lot of hate for the Democratic nominee, but we have no one as of yet to take Chenette on. His liberal agenda must be stopped now." Chenette says he's not angry, but extremely disappointed by what he calls some extremely fringe members of the Republican Party.
This gets to the fact that the Republican Party, both at the state level and the national level, continue to put in their party platform anti-LGBT and anti-equality rhetoric.
Oh, I was angry and disgusted and disappointed, very disappointed that this would be out there, and we're still thinking along these lines that we can't be inclusive.
Senator Woodson is one of a number of lawmakers from both parties who say Booth needs to step down from his chairmanship.
This is not okay. We are calling on Jim Booth to resign, and they're standing with me on a personal level.
Now, we reached out to Booth to try to get an interview or a statement from him, but he did not return our phone calls. Now, the chairman of the Maine Republican Party, Rick Bennett, has also denounced the email, and any kind of action taken against Booth would have to come from the York County Republican Executive Committee. Back to you guys.
Republican Committee Chairman Jim Booth sent an email to activists that calls Democratic lawmaker Justin Chenette Little Justine and talked about how much he is, quote, hated. Now, Chenette is openly gay and says being called Little Justine is just ridiculous.
I felt like it was a personal attack. It is widely known that I'm an openly gay legislator. I'm proud of that. I have a husband, though I don't think that should be a story. We demonize people that are a little different. For me, diversity should be seen as a strength and not a weakness. That is what Maine is all about, and we have to reject this kind of politics.
He says Booth has called to apologize to him.
York County GOP head Jim Booth apologizing for sending an email using offensive language against Justin Chenette. The email refers to the candidate as Little Justine and urges someone to step up and run against Chenette because there's, quote, a lot of hate towards him. Chenette is running unopposed for the state Senate seat, District 31. Chenette says he's appreciative of the apology, but says Booth should step down.
And so to have one individual represent very poorly an entire political party, I think is something that's deplorable. But I think so many people on both sides of the aisle have come out against this and have called on his resignation, and I think that's probably the acceptable path moving forward. It's clearly going after me as someone who is openly gay.
Little Justine, that's the name the York County GOP chair has given Senate candidate Justin Chenette in this email to fellow Republicans. Jim Booth writes there's a lot of hate for Chenette and calls on fellow Republicans to, quote, take on Little Justine in the Senate race.
I just wish that the Republican Party did the right thing.
Chenette says being called Little Justine reminds him of this.
Little Marco, Lion Ted, Crooked Hillary.
Saying Donald Trump's name calling in the national race has no place in Maine.
It doesn't surprise me that's trickled down to the local level.
That's why he and the Maine Democratic Party chair Even some Republicans are calling on Booth to resign.
I felt Jim should have stepped down, but he didn't. I think he got carried away.
Top Maine GOP officials called the email completely inappropriate and unfortunate, but they're not pressuring Booth to step down. And while Booth declined to be interviewed, Chenette says he did apologize to him in a phone call, but adds that's not the point.
There has to be repercussions for this sort of hate speech and rhetoric. Otherwise, it will be deemed acceptable.
The chair of the York County Republican Party will keep his job after he apologized for making comments degrading an openly gay lawmaker. James Booth called Democratic Representative Justin Chenette Little Justine in an email brought to Chenette's attention. News Editor's Chris Costa joins us now. And Chris, the York County Republicans met Wednesday night to discuss this, right?
Yeah, Rob and Cindy, and during that meeting, the county's party leaders decided not to take any disciplinary action against GOP Chair James Booth. Now, Representative Chenette says that lack of action sends an upsetting message.
I think the Republican Party had an opportunity to hit the reset button.
Representative Justin Chenette calls it a blown chance.
There has to be repercussions for this sort of hate speech and rhetoric. Otherwise, it will be deemed acceptable.
York County Republican Chair James Booth did not resign, nor did he face discipline for this email. Currently, our old friend Little Justine Chenette is running unopposed. We need someone to step forward by July 25th, 5 p.m. There is a lot of hate for the Democratic nominee, but we have no one as yet to take Chenette on. His liberal agenda must be stopped now.
When we're talking about hating somebody, that's pretty strong.
Chenette says the name calling is not what bothered him most.
I feel bad, not for me, because I've been called every name in the book over the years, but for the reasonable Republicans out there that don't want to be associated with hate speech.
I thought it was totally out of the place. It offended me.
State Senator Dave Woodsum is one of those Republicans.
There's no place, I don't feel, in our society today to attack anyone who happens to be gay or a different lifestyle than anyone else.
Chenette says Booth called him to apologize and says he holds no grudge against the GOP chair.
This is not Maine values. This is not what Maine people want in their politics.
Out of every dark cloud, I find sunshine. I mean, this, I think, will bring to light issues that need to be talked about and worked at and accepted.
I'm not the gay legislator. I'm the legislator who happens to be gay. And I would just hope that on some level they recognize that, again, not every Republican thinks as Jim Booth thinks.
Rick Bennett, the chairman of the Maine Republican Party, called Booth's language, quote, inappropriate and unfortunate. A spokesperson for the party said that the county chairs are not accountable to the state chair. We reached out to Mr. Booth by phone and by email, but got no response.